A group of corrupt NYPD officers from the 37th precinct lived far from a clean life. Lieutenant Ray Donlin, along with Detective Leo, and Gary, Jack, Frank, and Joey, knew exactly how to play the system. They took advantage of loopholes to gain status as supplemental transit police officers, a position that gave them access to various benefits, including low-interest loans that were secretly funded by the mafia.
I got the arrow.
With those benefits, they slowly moved away from the chaos of the city. The bank employees involved also relocated, taking their families out of New York. Their final destination was a small town called Garrison in New Jersey, which later became a safe place for all of them. Life there looked peaceful on the surface, but the real control still remained in Ray and his group's hands. To keep the town looking orderly and under control, Ray appointed someone he considered suitable to be the public face of law enforcement. Freddy Heflin, a local hero well known by the residents, was chosen to become sheriff. Officially, Freddy had the authority, but in reality, all the important decisions were still controlled behind the scenes by Ray and his men.
Maybe I don't trust you with any. When I leave here
Since he was little, Freddy had one simple dream: becoming part of the NYPD. He grew up believing in that dream, working hard and constantly trying to get closer to it. But everything changed because of one incident Freddy never expected. When he saw Liz, a local beauty queen, drowning in the river, Freddy jumped in without hesitation to save her. Freddy managed to save Liz, but he paid a heavy price. The incident caused him to lose hearing in one ear, a condition that made him no longer qualified to join the NYPD. Even though the townspeople saw him as a hero, deep inside, Freddy knew something was missing. The dream he had held onto for so long suddenly collapsed just like that. When the opportunity to become the sheriff of Garrison came, Freddy accepted it. For him, it was the closest thing to the life he had always imagined. There was still hope in it, even though he realized the path he ended up taking was not completely the same. But over time, Freddy started to understand his real position. The badge he wore did not truly make him part of the world he once chased after. Freddy was more like a figurehead, someone who only existed on the surface, while the real power stayed in other people's hands.
Way out of this for everyone. Men and boys.
His days became monotonous. Most of his duties revolved around small things, directing traffic and settling minor disputes. Slowly, the passion that once burned inside him turned into resignation. The ambitious person Freddy once knew within himself gradually faded away, replaced by silence and a feeling of isolation. Freddy became more of an observer than a participant. He watched life move around him, but never truly became part of it. Things became even harder when Liz, the woman Freddy once saved and secretly loved for years, ended up marrying Joey Randon. Joey later settled in Garrison with his new family, adding one more reality Freddy had no choice but to accept.
Not you, one of you guys.
One night, at the local police bar, the Four Aces, the atmosphere was like usual, crowded but familiar. Sheriff Freddy stood in front of a pinball machine, focused on playing while occasionally glancing over at Gary. That night, Gary was working undercover, accompanied by his friend from the bomb squad, Berta. They were busy talking about their experiences on the streets of New York, harsh stories that could only be understood by people who had lived through them themselves. Freddy listened closely. There was a mix of admiration and longing inside him. Every detail they talked about seemed to reopen an old desire that had never truly disappeared. Freddy enjoyed those stories as if he were there with them, until the pinball machine in front of him ran out of coins. As Freddy hurried outside to get more coins, Gary watched him. He could not help but feel sorry seeing how lonely Freddy was.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry, Freddy.
After a few minutes of casual conversation, Gary suggested that Freddy should just go home. The way he spoke did not sound like one police officer talking to another, but more like someone looking after a fragile person. Gary even helped Freddy get to his car. Not in a formal way, but more like guiding someone who had lost his direction. On the way home, Freddy's mind started to wander. The city lights across the river caught his attention. Freddy stared at them for a long time, imagining the life he might have lived if things had turned out differently. If Freddy had truly become part of that world back then, maybe his life would not have ended up like this. The daydream suddenly stopped. A deer suddenly appeared on the dark road in front of him. Out of reflex, Freddy immediately jerked the steering wheel to avoid it. His car lost control and crashed into the bushes on the side of the road. Still shaken, Freddy got out of the car. He sat by the riverbank, staring at the city lights in the distance. His mind was filled with all the possibilities that never happened. Meanwhile, in the city across the river, Ray's nephew, Officer Murray, who was known by the nickname Superboy Babbage, had just left a party.
Back in Jersey.
Superboy was on his way back to Garrison when suddenly a car slammed hard into his vehicle. Superboy immediately got out and tried to take control of the situation. He showed his badge and ordered the driver to stop, but the situation did not go the way he expected. The passengers in the car started acting threatening instead. In the middle of the tense situation, Superboy reacted quickly and shot them, killing the people inside the car. It did not take long before paramedics and NYPD officers filled the scene. Ray and his men arrived and immediately took over the situation, trying to calm Superboy down as he looked completely shaken. But while they started checking what had really happened, they found something that instantly changed the direction of everything that happened that night. Superboy started to panic. He realized the consequences of what had just happened would not be simple. On the other hand, Ray and his group focused on one thing: protecting one of their own. Jack tried to carry out the original plan to calm the situation down, but everything quickly fell apart. A fight broke out between Jack and the paramedics. In the middle of the chaos, Superboy, who was becoming even more restless, walked away toward the bridge, trying to calm himself down. Seeing the first plan fail, Ray did not stay quiet. He immediately thought of another move and made a quick decision that was pretty shocking.
Oh my God, Leo!
The next morning in Garrison, Bill came to see Freddy. They had breakfast together like usual, as if nothing had happened. But outside, the situation had already changed. News about Superboy's death spread quickly and immediately caught the media's attention. A lot of people started questioning what had really happened. The official reports going around no longer seemed completely consistent. Suspicion started growing, even from inside the department itself. Lieutenant Mo Tilden from Internal Affairs, along with his partner Detective Carson, started making moves. They decided to investigate further by interviewing the officers who were at the scene that night.
It's the fucking plague right about now.
Shit.
Back to the routine in Garrison, Freddy was on duty with a new deputy named Cindy. They sat inside a patrol car parked on the side of a quiet road, monitoring passing vehicles with a speed radar. The atmosphere was calm, almost boring, until a car sped by and caught their attention. Without saying much, they immediately chased after the car. The situation changed when Ray joined the conversation. Freddy even gave him a compliment, trying to keep everything feeling normal.
Hey, that's what.
Ray looked relaxed, even while driving his new car, but at the same time, Freddy subtly signaled Cindy to back off, as if there was something Freddy did not want her to see. A few moments later, as Ray's car drove away, Freddy noticed something that made him freeze. In the back seat was Superboy, sitting silently and staring straight at him through the rear window. The sight felt strange and disturbing. It was as if they no longer cared about hiding what had really happened. At the sheriff's office, the morning went by quietly. Freddy stood near the window, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. From a distance, Freddy saw Liz picking up her children across the street. His eyes stayed fixed on her for quite a while. A lot of thoughts crossed his mind. Freddy imagined the kind of life he could have had with Liz. He imagined what it would feel like to have a family like that, to become part of a life he had only been able to watch from afar all these years. But all of it was just a fantasy now. As Liz drove away, Freddy noticed a small toy fall out of her car. Without thinking much about it, Freddy walked over and picked it up, planning to return it later. On the other side of town, Ray and his men were discussing the situation, which was becoming more complicated. The problem involving Superboy was getting harder to control. At that moment, Ray suddenly ran into someone he did not expect: Mo Tilden, his old friend from the academy. Ray looked surprised, but he quickly hid his reaction. Calmly, Ray said that he would come in voluntarily for an interview, then introduced Mo to his men as if everything was completely fine. Mo seemed pretty satisfied with what he saw.
Thought I'd check it out.
After that, Mo walked back to his car, but as he got closer, he noticed a piece of paper stuck to the window. At first glance, Mo thought it was a parking ticket, and his face immediately turned annoyed. But when he read it, his expression changed. It turned out to be just a flyer about a town carnival being held by the fire department. That small thing only made the place feel even stranger to him, like something was not the way it was supposed to be. While still processing all of it, Mo noticed Freddy. Freddy then introduced himself. Since Freddy did not know Mo was there on official business, he briefly turned his attention to scold a group of kids causing trouble before going back to talking with Mo. To Mo, all of this felt like a contrast. This town that looked peaceful was actually hiding something much deeper.
Great gig. It's a special unit.
Meanwhile, at the Four Aces, the NYPD officers gathered again. The atmosphere felt more serious than usual. Jack started expressing his concerns. He said Freddy was someone reliable, but that did not mean Freddy was completely calm. There was hesitation in the way he spoke. Jack reminded Ray that every time he left town, he was trusting Ray with everything. And that was not a small thing.
Maybe I don't trust you with it. To me, that's everything.
On the other side of town, Freddy came to Liz's house to return the toy he had found earlier. Liz happily accepted it and sincerely thanked him. The atmosphere felt warm and simple, like one of those small moments that actually meant a lot to Freddy. When Liz invited him inside, Freddy agreed. Freddy sat inside the house for a while, waiting and looking around. But his eyes stopped on one thing, a photo of Joey in uniform hanging on the wall. He stared at it for a long time, as if the photo represented something Freddy could never achieve. There was a feeling that was hard to explain, a mix of reality and hopes that never came true. Later that afternoon, Freddy tried looking into something that had been bothering him. He checked the mysterious trash bag he had found earlier. From there, Freddy found a phone bill belonging to the Donlin family. That small clue led him to Ray's house, specifically to talk with Ray's wife, Rose. During the conversation, Rose finally admitted the truth. She had once been involved with Joey, but she had already ended it. The things Rose intentionally threw away were actually just her way of scaring Joey, a kind of warning for him to stop messing around with her. Freddy went home with even heavier thoughts. He still did not know what to do with that information. On the road, Freddy ran into Ray, who responded to his efforts in a dismissive tone. Freddy chose not to respond and returned to his office, though deep down he was starting to feel irritated, especially when thinking about Liz. Not long after that, Freddy accompanied Bill while he pulled over a speeding car. Freddy simply watched from inside the car while Bill checked the driver's license. Sitting there, Freddy drifted into his thoughts again, staring toward the bridge. Freddy remembered the incident that morning when he saw Liz's car fall into the river. The memory felt so clear, as if it had just happened. His thoughts were interrupted when the driver Bill had stopped started getting angry, complaining that his time was being wasted before driving off just like that. That uneasy feeling eventually pushed Freddy to contact Liz over the phone. Freddy told her what he knew about Joey. Liz was clearly devastated to hear it, and Freddy could only try to comfort her as best as he could. That night, at the Four Aces, the atmosphere felt quieter than usual. Everyone was watching the news. The case involving Superboy and the victims who were killed was still making headlines, and the impact kept spreading throughout the NYPD.
Fight, don't fight, you make a right.
In the middle of the atmosphere, Joey approached Freddy. In a tone that felt condescending, Joey thanked him for returning his child's toy. Freddy tried to stay calm, hoping they could have a serious conversation, but Joey ignored him instead. Joey casually switched to talking with Gary about a baseball game, then walked away like nothing happened. Freddy stayed silent. He looked like someone who had become so used to being treated that way that he no longer reacted to it. Not long after, the atmosphere inside the bar changed. Ray signaled Gary to join him. And the conversation that had started normally began heating up. Accusations started flying around, and the tension quickly escalated.
Kyle, just back the fuck off. You're supposed to fuck.
Gary suddenly attacked Jack, starting a fight right in the middle of the bar. Everyone froze watching it.
You helping a girl in trouble?
The situation finally calmed down after Ray ordered Gary to stop. But the words Gary had said earlier were still hanging in the air, making everyone uncomfortable.
Don't shut me out, Ray.
Get him out of here!
You can't look at him!
Gary then stormed off angrily. Seeing that, Freddy promised he would handle the situation and went after him. Not long after that, Freddy and Bill received a call to the Randon house. They found Joey outside the house, locked out and furious, demanding to be let in. Freddy did not immediately believe him. He first made sure Liz was okay inside the house.
Freddy.
When Freddy found out that Liz was safe and that Joey was actually the one who had been attacked, he felt slightly relieved. The day ended in exhaustion.
He didn't do anything.
Freddy went home and fell asleep on the couch. In his sleep, he dreamed again about the moment he jumped into the river to save Liz, the incident that changed his life. A few hours later, Freddy woke up when Bill arrived in a panic. There was a fire at Gary's house. Without wasting time, they immediately headed to the scene. By the time they arrived, residents had already gathered, watching firefighters try to put out the flames. The situation was chaotic. From Cindy, they learned that Monica, Gary's girlfriend, had suffered severe burns. Gary, who quickly returned from the city, looked devastated when he saw Monica's condition. He had not even fully understood what had happened yet. Monica had come to the house to surprise him, but it ended in tragedy instead. Not long after that, Monica died from her injuries. Gary could only stand there in silence, frozen as he faced a reality that came too fast and hit too hard. The next morning, the atmosphere at the sheriff's office felt heavy. Freddy sat writing a report about the fire at Gary's house. Everything was written according to procedure, but it was obvious there were many things that could not simply be put on paper. The report mentioned that Ray came to see Gary and tried to comfort him in his own way. No one really knew what he said, but his presence alone was enough to show that Ray still held control over the people around him. Later that afternoon, everyone gathered for Superboy's funeral. Since his body had not been found yet, only his uniform was placed inside the coffin. The ceremony still went on with full respect, as if everyone there was trying to accept the reality, even though it still felt strange. There, Ray introduced Freddy to Vincent from the Patrolmen's Defense Association. Freddy simply went along with it, standing among people who still mostly felt unfamiliar to him. During the ceremony, there was a small moment that did not go unnoticed. Joey and Rose were seen exchanging glances. Liz noticed it too, and it clearly made her uncomfortable. From a distance, Ray also noticed the interaction. He did not react, but it seemed like he was already putting something together in his head. After everything was over, Freddy returned to his office. There, Mo Tilden and Detective Carson were already waiting for him. The meeting immediately felt serious. Mo showed several photos of Ray with well-known mafia figures, then explained that they shared the same goal, keeping police officers on the right path. Mo also brought up the officers living outside their jurisdiction, including the ones in Garrison. He asked Freddy for help in taking a closer look at what was really going on.
I got a sticky problem. In the bridge.
Freddy did not agree right away. Instead, Freddy defended the officers, insisting that everything was still under control. But Mo did not completely believe him. Mo felt there was something wrong, especially considering how unusually low the crime rate in the town was. To him, that was actually a sign that something was being hidden.
If you look around, you see, you're...
Before leaving, Mo said one thing that really stuck with Freddy, that there was something Freddy needed to do before it was too late.
Man who always pined to be a cop of hearing tests. Right? I'm wrong. Every day out these windows.
The following night, Ray threw a party. Officially, it was called a farewell party for Superboy, with plans to send him away until the situation cooled down and the mayor dropped the case. A few hours after the party started, Freddy arrived and immediately questioned Ray's decision. To him, it felt strange to hold a party like that only one day after his nephew's funeral.
Guys had a hard-on.
Well, he knows.
Around the same time, Liz came to see Freddy at his house. Liz thanked him for what Freddy had done in the past, for saving her life. Their conversation lasted quite a while, and during it, Liz started to understand the feelings Freddy had been hiding all this time. There was empathy there, especially seeing how Freddy had been living his life alone. Meanwhile, at the party, the atmosphere looked relaxed, but it was not completely safe. Rose, who seemed nervous, secretly gave something to Superboy, a warning message. The message was clear. Ray was planning to kill him. Superboy read the message just in time. Without thinking much, Superboy immediately got ready. He approached Ray, who seemed to have already been waiting for him.
Great party, Ray. Ray,
The situation quickly turned tense. As things heated up, Superboy managed to break free from the people trying to hold him back. Superboy ran toward the nearby woods. This time, Ray's plan did not go smoothly. Superboy was not that easy to take down. The next morning, just as Ray had planned, the mayor decided to suspend the investigation into Superboy's case. The decision made Mo furious. All his efforts suddenly felt useless. Unable to hold back his emotions, Mo took out his frustration even on the people around him. In the end, with great reluctance, Mo threw away all the investigation files he had gathered about those officers.
The case is fucking closed.
After that, while the town was still reacting to the mayor's bold decision, the atmosphere at the Four Aces felt tense. Ray, Jack, and Frank approached Joey, asking for his help to find Superboy. But Joey firmly refused. Joey chose to leave and continue working in the city, as if he wanted no further involvement. On the other side, Jack pulled Freddy away from the crowd. Jack brought up something serious about Gary. According to him, the fire was not just an ordinary accident. Jack also mentioned Gary's financial problems and suggested that Freddy investigate the situation more seriously. That same night, Freddy went home and allowed Gary to stay at his house temporarily. During their casual conversation, Gary started opening up. He explained that Garrison had actually been carefully built for the benefit of Ray and the people above him, including mafia bosses with major influence. Gary also admitted that life as a police officer was not what most people imagined. Gary even tried convincing Freddy that maybe Freddy had not lost as much as Gary thought, but those words did not really change anything. Before the conversation ended, Gary gave one important piece of advice. If Freddy wanted to go against Ray, Freddy could not do it directly. There had to be a strategy.
The greens. Diagonal.
Meanwhile, in the city, Joey was on duty and got into a fight with a criminal. The fight was brutal and dangerous. At one point, the criminal nearly threw Joey off the roof of a tall building. Joey ended up hanging from the edge, almost losing his life while screaming for help. The emergency call was immediately answered. Ray, Jack, and several other officers arrived at the scene. Ray went in first and found Joey hanging there in desperation. But what happened next was completely unexpected. Instead of helping him right away, Ray walked back out and closed the door, as if he was intentionally wasting time. A few moments later, it was over. Joey did not survive. That same midnight, Freddy heard a soft knock at his door. When he opened it, Freddy got a huge surprise. Superboy was standing there, still alive. The moment Superboy saw Gary inside the house, he panicked and ran away. Freddy and Gary tried chasing him, but they lost track of him.
Bring him back here.
Joey's death spread quickly and shook the small town. A few days later, his funeral was held. Freddy attended and saw for himself how devastated Liz was. Seeing her like that made Freddy feel the same sadness. A few days later, Freddy met Ray at the bar. Calmly, Freddy told him that Superboy had come to see him. Freddy suggested that they should all stop running and face everything openly at the police station. But clearly, that was not the option Ray wanted.
Out of this for everyone. So
Between men and boy.
And you come. But Freddy, you're playing.
The next morning, Freddy decided to go to the city. He headed to Internal Affairs, trying to find answers. His presence there surprised people. Freddy was only a sheriff from a small town, but now he was standing in the middle of a major problem.
excuse me.
Mo, I
Excuse me,
apologize.
I'm sorry. It's my loyalties. They were confused. They never give you any speeches, and you're talking about doing.
That was like 2 weeks ago.
As he was about to leave, Freddy found something important. Mo's old files about the officers in Garrison, which apparently were about to be thrown away. Freddy secretly took them. Back at his office, Freddy carefully went through all the documents. Slowly, everything started making sense. Mo's suspicions all this time had not been without reason. Seeing how complicated the situation had become, Cindy decided to leave Garrison and return to her job in the city. Cindy did not want to get involved any further. At the town carnival, Jack approached Freddy. In a subtle but clear way, Jack let him know that they were aware Freddy had started interfering. There was a threatening tone behind his attitude. After that, Freddy visited Liz and gave her a toy he got from the carnival. There, Freddy tried to explain everything he knew about the officer's involvement with the mafia, but Liz did not want to hear it. Instead, Liz got angry, feeling that Freddy was trying to ruin Joey's name. The conversation ended badly.
Maybe that's what you're trying.
As Freddy walked out and returned to his car, Frank was already waiting for him. Frank demanded information about Superboy's whereabouts. When Freddy refused to answer, Frank directly threatened him.
You could tell us.
Freddy went home with a head full of thoughts. At home, Freddy found Gary's insurance check from the fire. Freddy also noticed burn marks on Gary's bag and started connecting everything together. To make sure, Freddy went to Gary's burned house. There, Gary finally confessed. Gary really had burned down his own house on purpose, with help from someone named Berda, to collect the insurance money and escape the town. Gary insisted that he did not know Monica was coming that night and never intended to hurt her. After that, Freddy became even more convinced that everything had gone too far.
I'm gonna find Superboy and I'm gonna...
You gotta find him first. Don't give a shit about your fucking justice.
Freddy met with Rose and tried convincing her that only Rose could help Superboy now. In the end, Rose revealed that Superboy was hiding in the water tower. Freddy went there and found Superboy terrified. Freddy then brought him to the sheriff's office and locked him in a cell temporarily. Seeing the situation, Bill started to panic. Bill knew Ray would not stay quiet. The situation had become extremely dangerous. Not long after, Bill got a phone call from his pregnant wife. She told Bill to come home and keep himself safe. Freddy saw that and allowed Bill to leave. That night, Freddy chose to stay alone at the office. With a gun in his hand, Freddy sat there watching over Superboy, fully aware that what came next would not be easy. Meanwhile, Gary truly intended to leave Garrison. He was ready to start a new life, far away from all the chaos. But during the drive, he could not stop thinking about Freddy. End quote. Gary knew the sheriff was not a powerful man, but Freddy had always treated him well. That feeling made Gary hesitate until he finally decided to turn around. The next morning, Freddy was preparing to take Superboy to the NYPD. Freddy wanted to end everything the right way, but before they could get far, Frank and Jack suddenly appeared and ambushed them. Freddy barely had a chance to fight back. He was beaten and knocked down while Superboy was kidnapped. In the middle of the chaos, one of them fired a gun near Freddy's good ear. The sound caused Freddy to lose his balance. Suddenly, the world went silent. Freddy completely lost his hearing, along with a sharp pain that made it hard for him to even stand. Even so, Freddy did not stop. Confused and barely able to hear anything, Freddy still forced himself to keep moving. End quote. He headed to Ray's house, the only place where all of this could finally end. There, the situation immediately turned into a shootout. Ray and his men gave him no room at all. Freddy fought back as best as he could, but it was obvious he was overwhelmed. At that critical moment, Gary arrived. Without saying much, Gary immediately helped Freddy. Together, they fought back. The fight did not end quickly, but in the end, they managed to defeat the corrupt officers, including Ray. Without wasting time, Freddy and Gary immediately took Superboy to the Internal Affairs Bureau in the city. They arrived looking completely beaten up, but their goal was clear. The place was chaotic. Reporters and officers had already gathered there. Gary helped clear a path, pushing through the crowd until they finally reached Mo. This time, Mo did not hesitate. He immediately took control of the situation.
Come on inside.
As Freddy walked alongside Mo, Gary could only watch from behind. Gary knew he had been involved in many things too, but he still felt proud watching Freddy. The man who had been underestimated for so long had finally stepped forward and brought down a system that once seemed untouchable.